I said. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk Fins Talk. I'm your host, Steve Malloy, and as always, joining me tonight is Rob Mosley, a.k.a. Dolphin Thirsty. And we have a special guest tonight. We have from FUBAR on the Fins Talk Sports Network, Bret Lagasse. How you gentlemen doing tonight?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
It's good to be live and stuff. I haven't decided to play a little bit of a different intro video, because we wouldn't have to hear it twice. So it's all good. And Cap for Life's already in the house. So
yes, sir. We got some folks in the chat. Cap for Life. I saw Ender was in there. Hey, we're sorry for starting late, guys. We had a little technical difficulties.
Yeah, hey. I'm the technical glitch, but it's all good.
Right. We worked it out. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget, as you're coming in tonight, please hit that like button and share. Subscribe with your friends, your families, your neighbors, and we appreciate you joining us tonight. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about dissecting the Miami Dolphins training camp experiments they supposedly had going on. But first, before we get started, remember, we may not always agree everything Dolphins, but there's one thing we can agree on. We are Dolph fans. Rob, hit that vid.
Tight end and offensive line could just be justified as more positions of need. Was this guy significantly higher on your board than any of the tight ends or offensive linemen available?
When we do our board, we go through it, and there were a lot of good players that were picked too, ahead of those. So we look at every position, we go through it. I think you guys are probably more worried than we are, in terms of, at the position depth at those spots you talked about. But at the end of the day, we added a good football player. We're happy. And like we said, the draft, it doesn't end with the draft.
Well, there you heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Greer, Mike McDaniel said, don't worry about it. We got it under control. Don't worry about it. You guys are worried about it more than we are. We got what we need at depth. We got our guys. Well, let's talk about that. First thing is, we're going to talk about the O-line. The O-line so far in the training camps, they've had eight or nine practices already. The O-line hasn't improved, not one iota. In fact, the depth that we have this year, in my opinion, is probably not as good as we had last year. And that's including Isaiah Wynn. Remember, Isaiah Wynn has an injury history as well as Armstead, as well as AJ, as well as Liam Eichenberg. They were hurt. So, Rob, give me your take, what you've been hearing, and what you're seeing in the Miami Dolphins offensive line this year.
Well, first off, I would like to say I take you to heart, Steve. You want to say you're going to play that video every Tuesday. Today, I decided to double up. We listened to that. Three of us listened to that. We listened to that video twice already. We just wanted to, it's a test run. But like I said, between us, that starting unit might be okay. The depth is very concerning because Armstead's never done a whole season without getting injured, But so Armstead left tackle, I'm okay when he's starting. Then the left, if you go left guard and you say, wins, but most likely he may have to go to left tackle if Armstead does get hurt. But, and then at center, Con Williams, I'm okay with. Robert Hunt, I'm okay with. Then so right tackle, left guard, I think is what we can all agree on are the biggest two concerns. And depth behind both of those positions. From all reports, Austin Jackson's doing a little bit better. Granted, that was against some of Atlanta's backups last, week. So we will see. But overall, at least it's an improvement. So yes, I'm still worried about depth a lot more than obviously Chris Greer is worried about the depth.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And Brett, let's get your take on that. How are you seeing this offensive line developing thus far this year? Look, we can't project what they're going to be like in another 2 weeks or 3 weeks or when the season starts. But what we're doing is we're talking about right now, as we see it, as you see it, as Rob sees it. What have you been hearing and seeing?
So I want to talk about that clip real quick. So this is going to sound crazy because I've been a very tough on Greer, but he's right in the aspect of what they drafted ahead of offensive line and tight end. They didn't force a pick there. Um, they went with a corner and a running back. Now with A-Chain, don't look at him so much as just a running back. I don't know how he's going to project. I don't know if he's going to be like a Kevin Falk or a James White kind of guy. We'll get into that later. But or he might be like a work done kind of guy. Who knows? But he's a weapon. And Cam Smith is an impact player, corner, and so far he's done well. But impact positions are very important to me and how to build your team better. And I don't have a problem not forcing offensive line. Now, when he says you guys are more worried about it than we are, I think that's almost an arrogant take to say we're like almost overconfident. Connor Williams, I think we need to extend him. He's having a little bit of a rough camp, but he could also has the versatility to play guard and center. He's better at center, in my opinion. But his snapping is still a question. But if there's ever a question like, oh, you know what, you're really struggling snapping, you can kick him to guard and he's fine. I feel like that was one of my favorite signings last year because he is a good guard. He's aggressive. He's athletic. But they moved him to center, and I had a lot of questions about it. Some bad snap issues, but it seemed like he kind of got better, and McDaniel has a vision for him at center, and I'm all right with it because he's young, and you can pay him long term and be okay. So I think they need to get him under contract long term. On the other aspect of it, Teron Armstead is not played a full season during his career. He's not played. Oh, he played 13 games last year, but he's missed time. He's also left games early, so it's something that we really need to keep an eye on and have a backup situation. So that's a question. So left tackle becomes a question because of Armstead's health availability.
Yeah.
Left guard is obviously a battle right now. Isaiah Wynn looked good in moments or in the short time he got. He was getting to the second level. He was walling off. He was turning defenders. He was getting push. He was doing everything you expect out of an offensive lineman. It doesn't have to be all 5 all pros up front. Isaiah Wynn he showed, hey, he's a good guard. Like Robert Hunt has been good. A lot of Dolphins fans say he's like elite. He's not elite. He's good. And that's all you need. You need serviceable at worst. And so the biggest problem with Robert Hunt is he has Austin Jackson next to him, who gets beat on the inside all the time. So now Hunt has to step over and help with that. So Jackson's doing better protecting the edge, but as soon as it's an inside move, he struggles. So, but Jackson's moving better than we've seen, but he started out good as a rookie and then played really bad after that. So I don't know. I think I have questions about right tackle. I have questions about guard. I do like the competition we brought in this year. I like Hayes that we brought in. I like Lester
Interesting.
Cotton that they brought in. Kendall Lamb, before we on our pre-show that we did, you mentioned Kendall Lamb as a veteran. He actually was decent. He actually was decent at left tackle.
Yes, I heard that.
He didn't stick out in the preseason game. He didn't look terrible. He did his job. And if he could do that and step in like Shell did last year, I could be okay with that. Like it's fine. Like, just do your job. And I'm okay with that. But I have concerns. Like, is the offensive line going to be good enough? Can it protect the offense? The running the ball seemed like it was an issue. This system shouldn't have that problem. So can they get the right core of guys? And then Keon Smith in week 1, he played a lot of snaps. He actually didn't look bad. But again, it's preseason. Can you continue building on that? So like they had guys that like looked okay, but none of them were taking over the game. So and Dan Feeney really didn't. I don't know. He's a serviceable backup, but I like that.
Yeah.
Rob, you mentioned Isaiah Wynn, and you mentioned him having to step into left tackle. That's a good and bad thing because Robert Jones, he can play left guard, but he's okay there. He's just serviceable, right? So like that, if that has to happen where Wynn has to play left tackle, are we better having Lamb play left tackle and Wynn stay at left guard, or we better having
Yeah,
someone. So that's where we need to figure out the drop
Yeah.
off, or where they're going to have to figure that out. But
Right.
it's great to have Wynn, but Wynn's also injury prone and had injuries. But he's definitely a serviceable player. He's a good player. He was good in New England, right? And New England knows how to develop
Right.
offensive linemen, and they
Right.
turn them out. So they find them. Okay, we're not going to pay you. We'll find someone else. So that Wynn's a good player. I think he was a good pickup. I like that signing. And 3 good offensive linemen makes your offensive line better. But when they're not on the field, what good is it?
Yeah. No, I agree. And Armstead, when healthy, whether we have Wynn at the left guard or Robert Jones, I'm comfortable with that. With that. Like you said, they're serviceable backs. Wynn has played a little. He's played guard in college, and he was a decent left tackle before he got injured. But I'm still not convinced on AJ, Austin Jackson. But as you said, we don't need 5 all pros to play the offensive line. All we need we need Armstead, Connor Williams, Robert Hunt, and 2 serviceable guards and a tackle. And I think we'll be fine. I really do.
They just have to play as a collective unit. And they had moments with, they had moments last year with backups where it's like, they weren't terrible. But
no, they did.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. There's hope, on the horizon, but we've just been waiting for a long time for it to actually come to fruition. Health's going to be a big factor as always. So, I don't care if Armstead takes 1 snap in preseason. He shouldn't even take 1 snap in the preseason. Maybe 1 or 2. I would like to see the starters get some. I don't know where you guys stand on that because
I would.
Patrick Mahomes played in the preseason.
I don't care.
But
Armstead, I don't want him touching preseason.
Yeah, me either.
Wins in competition, play. Connor Williams just get some reps at snapping the ball, 1 drive, get him out of there. The rest of the guys, I want to see. Oh, Hunt, I agree with that too. You already know he already knows the offense. The rest of the guys, let's see what we got. Let them play full games. Get all the film you can get on these guys. You only get 3 games. Get all the film you can get of the backups and see who's the best backup, who's the best in certain situations.
Right. No, I agree.
Well, let me this is what Omar Kelly had to say. He was basically talking about the starters and primarily the depth as well. But he said these are the problem areas, or his concerns: running back, tight end, O line, D line, inside linebacker, outside linebacker, cornerback, safety, and special teams. Now, let's talk a little bit about the tight end position real quick. In fact, Omar says that not 1 tight end would start for another team that we have on the Miami Dolphins. Not 1. That's his opinion.
He's right.
That's his opinion. So our tight ends, I mean, they're just bodies. They're just warm bodies right now. Now, look, I think Durham Smythe is a serviceable blocker. I know I've heard some good things about Elijah Higgins. He's improving. He's not at the level we need him at to start as a tight end, but he's improving on his blocking. So there's that for the tight ends. Rob, what's your take on that? And then we'll go down to Britt.
I mean, I guess it really depends what you want from the tight end. If you want big, sexy receiving numbers, no, we don't have those guys right now. But if you want improved blocking, I think we have, and they're going to be fine. And I think from what we've seen hints of the tight end, everyone just thought, oh, McDaniel's coming. We're going to have like the tight end stud, like the 49ers have. It's just not reality. We don't have him coming with, part of the package. So
you tell me where there's another George Kittle, we'll go get him.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Travis Kelce.
Right, yeah.
So, we get him. But for what we have, I mean, it's an okay room. Is it going to blow anyone's socks off? Maybe the young guy, Higgins, can step up eventually, but that's a hard position from everyone I've talked to that knows a lot about football, saying tight end is probably one of the hardest positions to adapt.
Yeah, it is.
And then not only is that, he's coming from where he wasn't really in the tight end in college. It's him in like that extra step. So he's trying to do that. So he might be a receiving threat down the end. But yeah, if you want big, sexy receiving numbers like a Kittle out there, and you're not going to get that. But if you can get better blocking unit than they were last year, I think there's hope for that. So I don't know. Now it's on you, Brett. But that's just my take. I mean, yeah, it's just no big, super sexy name in the tight end room.
So no, there's not a big name in there. And yeah, you're right. Just because McDaniel came here, just because the Shanahan system is here, doesn't mean you're going to have a tight end that's going to light it up. When the Shanahans were in Washington, they had Fred Davis, I think, and then they didn't really have a tight end there. They didn't really have a tight end in Atlanta either. Also, Hooper had some good seasons, but nothing crazy. Higgins. So what makes the 49ers offense so special is George Kittle. So it doesn't matter who's at I mean, don't get me wrong, quarterback position, Jimmy Garoppolo did his job. Brock Purdy really showed amazing last year for what he did. But when you look at the tight end position, George Kittle, he's going to block. He's going to run out and go in and run a route. He's big and fast, just like Gronkowski. Those guys don't grow on trees. Okay, those guys are hard to find. Saubert, I didn't mind the signing of Saubert because he's a better blocker than we had in Gesicki. So now you can run Smythe and Saubert and truly believe that, okay, we can run to either side. You can motion them, run away from them, or run to them. Doesn't matter because the defense is still going to have to be honest, and they're not going to just be say, oh, Gesicki's there. We can just blow him up, whether they motion him or not. Or they're just not going to run the ball. So Gesicki tipped their hand.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So with that said, the tight end room is still okay at best. Drafting a tight end, you weren't going to get production out of them right away. Tight ends just don't produce right away. It's not easy. Some will. The Lions had a rookie tight end that produced right away, but they also have a really good tight end coach and Dan Campbell. So I think we touched on Higgins. So Croft is kind of like behind the curve. He's learning. I'm not Croft. Excuse me. The kid we got last year, the free agent.
Tanner Connor.
Tanner Connor. Thank you. Croft is kind of like a receiver, but he's like all the injuries have slowed him down quite a bit. But he's experienced as a tight end, so he gives you a little flexibility. But like Connor's behind now. Higgins, I liked what I saw week 1 in the preseason out of him. When the play broke down, Higgins showed what he could do. And I love seeing it from a rookie. He just let his athleticism and his natural feel for the game take over. He found the soft spot in defense was what he did at Stanford. He caught the football. It wasn't like, oh, crap, I'm playing tight end. No, it was, I'm a receiver at this point. I'm in a route. He runs good routes. And you saw who he became a ball carrier after. I was actually watching on my phone. I was out with my daughter for her birthday, and I was watching it from my phone. And I went back and watched this game on TV. But I watched it originally, and I thought it was a running back the way he was running with the football. So he just has that ability after the catch. And I know some people compared him to Thomas Durante, which that was a busted pick. But I think he can be special or can be a good player and produce because he can block. You can use him as a receiver, off tight end, off ball tight end, H-back, inline tight end. So you can kind of move him around a little bit as a rookie and kind of get his feet wet, and he could be a good weapon. And when the play breaks down, which we just talked offensive line, he could be open. But overall, the tight end room is just not that good. It's just okay. Yeah. And my concern is I would have rather had a better blocker up front that helped this offensive line. And you hit the nail on the head. Smythe is a serviceable blocker. He does his job.
Yeah,
not very much of a receiver. He can make tough catches. He's not afraid of that. But
and Saubert too, for that matter. Saubert can catch too.
He's actually a better receiver than people give him credit for. He just wasn't used as a receiver in Washington or Denver. So
yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. All right, and also I've been hearing things where, well, the Dolphins now. This is not confirmed. But I heard it through the grapevine that Dolphins tried out another wide receiver sometime this week, or worked out a wide receiver from the USFL. I don't have his name right with me now, but anyway, they tried out.
It's like that's a weird like Coty or
they signed him. They signed him, but they also signed another. They all not signed, but they also worked out another wide receiver, and I think the reason for that is because. Honestly, I don't trust this organization, and of course any organization. They're not going to tell you the whole story about a man's injury, And right now Waddle has a midsection injury, and I'm going to be looking out for that when I go to these joint practices here on Thursday, August 17th. We're going to do a live broadcast from the Fins Talk Sports Network. So make sure everybody on here tonight, please catches that and share that with your friends, families, and neighbors if you want to see some good live action at the Dolphins joint practices in Houston. But
Justin Hall's a receiver.
Who?
Justin Hall from Ball State.
Oh, okay, that's who they
Is
tried
that the
out.
one they tried out?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
mainly he's a short guy. He's like 5'9", 180.
Who's not short on our team? Well, I Chosen and Easy. That's the only two. But here's the deal. We don't know about Waddle. Okay, I mean they're telling us it's just a midsection injury and he'll be fine. All that, and then of course Barrios got hurt too. He had a cut across his forehead, so we don't. He hasn't been practicing.
That's not going to be a huge thing. That's just
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I don't think so either.
It's right where the helmet is what McDaniel's, saying. The stitches are right where the helmet. So every time he puts the helmet, he starts bleeding again.
Yeah, so of course he can't practice right now. He has to wear his helmet. But the bottom line, I am concerned about Waddle. But our receiver group, I'm really not too concerned with them, to be honest with you. And honestly, in the 8 days of training camp, for a while there, I was a little concerned about Tyreek Hill because he didn't seem like he was up to par. He was dropping balls and just didn't seem like he was in it,
Mm-hmm.
But he's doing okay now. So look, we know what those guys are capable of, right? Chosen, he's a proven veteran. He brings a veteran presence to this Miami Dolphins wide receiver core. He can catch the ball. He's played with some bad quarterbacks. He still caught the ball. He's fast. I got that. Easy. Look, it's preseason. Everybody's gotten excited about his running ability and breaking tackle, and that's fine and dandy. But the problem is he did the same thing last year, and then he was having problems with the playbook like most players were on this team, right? So maybe he does catch on this year. He learns that playbook and he gets more of an opportunity. I like his physicality. I like his size and his strength, and we need a wide receiver like that. So I do hope he comes on. But hey, we'll see.
Well, they're banked up real quick. With Chosen, Waddle, Barrios, Sanders also left with an injury, was held out of the game.
Who did?
So Braylon Sanders.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right.
A lot of him. That might hurt him trying to make the team, but Braylon Sanders is has a sneaky chance to make the team. But if you look at something I just want to bring this up real quick. They signed Kiki Kotu. They signed, I think that's how you say his name. Or they're working out Justin Hall, and Barrios had a knock on his forehead, and they're looking to probably have him on offense a little bit. It seems like they're looking for a returner because nobody on the team is a reliable punt returner. Maybe A-Chain, which I'm hoping he gets a chance to return punts. He's more of a kick returner. Would love to see him get his kind of cut his teeth as a receiver and punt returner. That'd be nice. But I think they're just looking for a consistent punt returner and someone that can play special teams, because after the third receiver, fourth, fifth, sixth on the depth chart, depending on how many they carry, you have to play special teams, which is why Craycraft likely makes a team again, because you have to play special teams. You don't have enough production on offense.
I got you. Now, you don't think Barrios is good enough to be our punt returner? I know he had a good year. He had one good year with the New York Jets. He led the league.
He's a solid returner, but I think they're also looking for competition there. And if Barrios goes down, who fills in? Cedric Wilson was there last year, but he was pretty much just reliable, catch the ball, and you were done. So I think they're just looking for that competition. Plus, they have a lot of injury at the receiver position, so it looks like they're trying to get the competition to keep it flowing. So.
Yeah. No, okay, good points. You make good points there. And I completely forgot about Braylon Sanders. He was injured as well. And Chosen was injured in camp a few times as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these guys have been hurt in camp. And, and they're not really going – yeah, it's typical. But it's still a concern. For me, it is.
No, it is. I mean, it's a concern. But I'd like Scotty pointed out, I think a lot of those are like camp bodies, unfortunately, for those guys, But it's still eyeballs that they get, that they're being watched by everyone. So, but hopefully that's all it is with Waddle. I think, they're telling pretty much the truth on that. that
Right.
it's not that serious and he'd be ready.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think
And
it's
let's talk. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Rob.
no. I'm just saying. I think he's ready. I know you always get worried when they start saying. I'm not as worried as you are, Steve, on that
I know.
front.
Yeah, I know.
I
You're
know.
more optimistic than I am, for sure. But here's the thing. Um, our running back room. We've got A-Chain, Mostert, Jeff Wilson, and I'm really liking this guy, Chris Brooks. The guy that I hope he continues to do well in the preseason. I'd really like to see him on, whether it be practice squad or on the 53-man roster. We need a guy like him. We need a good downhill runner, powerful guy with good size like him, and he seems to have some good vision as well. A-Chain, can you imagine that, Brooks and A-Chain? But anyway, A-Chain, I wasn't really impressed by A-Chain, but he did what I expected. I'll tell you what I was impressed with though on him was he kept with his lanes. He went to where the hole was, where he could pick up his 2 or 3 yards or 4 yards. He didn't try to go, to the other side or, try to, ad lib and do something else. He followed his blocking, good vision. He got the 3, 4 yards or 2 yards that he needed. He does have some good hands, but I expected that from A-Chain, and he is fast. He's very fast.
I don't know what more you wanted. I thought he looked good. I have to say, even his kickoff return to start the game.
Yeah,
was
the
good.
kickoff return was probably the best play for him.
And then he took that little one ball out, and then when they lined him up wide, he took that and he accelerated for a nice gain. So
a little
me,
bit,
I don't know. To me, he showed me. I liked some of what he showed me.
Which is why I mentioned James White, Kevin Falk kind of role for him, because it's I think he's going to be the third option we talked about with receiver. He's going to be there. He's going to be that at times.
Right.
I agree with you on that. I like to see him in that role too. I think he would fit well into that. Now I'm really impressed with Brooks, and I know that he was playing against the thirds and the fourths or whatnot, but he did really well. I like his style of running. Mostert is hurt. This is like his third time he's been hurt this year in practice. Wilson's been hurt. Who else? Ingold. We haven't heard much of Ingold. I mean, he's been involved here and there. I like to see him get more involved in the running game as well. But I know McDaniel doesn't use his fullbacks like that. But I like Ingold. But what do you think?
Use as a receiver.
Yeah, receiver. He's a good receiver as well. And blocker. Rob, what's your take on the running backs? I know you mentioned A-Chain. You were impressed with his running ability and everything.
I thought Brooks showed some powerful stuff. I mean, I like the running back room. I overall, of course, with Moser and Wilson, their injury history worries you a little bit, for staying healthy. But when they're on the field, they're fine. A-Chain's going to be a weapon. Him and as a rookie, I believe they're going to find ways to get him the ball. So overall, and like I said, I think Brooks will be a great candidate for a practice squad, but he may do too much. And when you put him out there on waivers, another team may scoop him up and you might lose him. They may put him on the active roster. But if you could stash him on the practice squad, I would love it. You're too afraid. So you would keep him over Gaskin, I guess. Gaskin looked good the other night, but
he did look good. Let me ask you this. Let me ask both of you guys this. Do both of you think that Samad Ahmed, do you think he's a slower version of A-Chain? Think he has the same style as A-Chain, other than being fast as A-Chain?
So what I mentioned about Savon Ahmed last year, they started to do it. They started moving him out wide, and that's why I had mentioned A-Chain as a draft prospect for the Dolphins and a receiving back as another option for the pass game, and it works because you saw Savon Ahmed go out wide, and Raheem Mostert could do that. Jeff Wilson's not that great of a receiver. He's good out of the backfield. That's about it. But lining out wide like Mostert could do it. They used him a little bit, but then they started using Savon Ahmed. And remember, Savon Ahmed was picked up by the 49ers when McDaniel was there.
Right.
So he's familiar with this system. And, in small in flashes, he's done his job.
Right.
against New England when he started. He actually had a awesome game. So he's a
I remember.
serviceable back, and I think they
Mhm.
do have similar skill sets. But I think because of this backfield, Rob touched on this with the injury history, and you guys both touched on this, you have to be careful. So both of
Mhm.
them were throttled back. Everybody was wondering why Mostert wasn't getting the touches right away last year. Well, it's because of his injury history coming off that knee injury. Now,
Mhm.
Mostert, I love the signing of Mostert over the signing of Edmonds last year, and Jeff Wilson. That trade was an upgrade over Edmonds last year.
Yes.
Doesn't mean the running back room was fixed. However, I worry less about the running back room than I do the offensive line. But the running back room is serviceable. They could do their job in a rotation. And I'm so glad to keep bringing up Chris Brooks because A-Chain is exciting, and I think he could be good. He's still going to bulk up. He's doing pretty good. Ignore the yards per carry. He missed a couple lanes.
Yeah.
I think A-Chain is going to get better. I'm excited about A-Chain.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
Brooks, I love Brooks. When I watch this tape, BYU runs his own system, and when you watch him, Tyler Algier has done well. Jamal Williams has done well. Algier's been a little bit better, but Chris Brooks, I'm not saying he's going to be the next undrafted free agent that the Shanahan system has made elite or anything like that. But I think he could be a surprise. I think he could very well fit. He's downhill. He's decisive. He gets his foot, gets downhill. Now
Yeah.
he's not going to make a cut, make you guys miss. He did a good job of running through tackles, which was
Mhm.
something you didn't see as much at BYU, but he's not like explosive, but he gets downhill, and that's what makes him seem explosive because he's decisive. And just think of guys that we've seen throughout history, like Zach Thomas. We use our Dolphin Hall of Famer. He was slower than a lot of guys that were drafted ahead of him. But because he knew where to go, he was decisive and he looked faster than everybody because he was
Right.
at the spot of the ball and he can go 100%. Well,
Yes.
Brooks, when he sees it, he's running and he's not afraid of contact.
No.
So
Mhm.
I really liked Brooks's downhill approach. I liked what I
Yeah.
saw, and he
Yeah.
played like a guy saying, "Hey, forget Dalvin Cook, I'm here." He almost played like a guy said, "I'll give you power. Like give me the ball, coach, and I'll show you what I could
Right.
do." Like he had that. I just felt there was some energy with him. And now
Yeah.
A-Chain, when he caught the ball at the screen and took it upfield, I was like, that's what I want to see from him.
Yeah.
That
So
right
Yeah.
there.
No, that
basically,
was good.
yeah.
That was good.
So I think we can all agree, barring any kind of major injuries, we got Mozart, Wilson, A-Chain as locks at the running. Those three are
Yeah.
locks at the running back.
For
So
sure.
then it's going to come back to you. Are you worried about losing Brooks? Gaskin, you can move on from. He's okay, but you know what you get from him, and and then Ahmed. So really, it comes down: do you like Brooks more than Gaskin and Ahmed, Brett or Steve?
I like Ahmed better. I love Gaskin. I think he gets too much heat.
Yeah,
I
I
think
know.
he does his job. What do you want from the guy? Yeah, he never
Yeah.
claimed he's Marshawn Lynch, so he does his job. But I think he's average. I think Ahmed's speed and receiving ability probably puts him up, but I think they have to decide between those two. And I think
Yeah.
Brooks, like he might end up being a protected player in the practice squad, but you
That would
can't
be
lose
nice.
Brooks because you're going to
Yeah.
need depth at running back.
Right.
But
Yeah.
we don't have between Ahmed and Gaskin, neither one of them give you the power and short yardage ability that Brooks gives you.
Mm-hmm.
So Wilson kind of gives you that, but he has that narrow frame. So
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.
Yeah,
I just
Ingo
there's
is a
some.
lock too, but I see some people have been grouping him with the tight end group, and some people group him with running back group. So, but I
Ingold,
still think,
Ingold is
yeah.
a fullback. He's a
Yeah.
fullback.
yeah,
I know,
he's
but when you
kind of
see like the people's depth chart, a lot of them have them with the tight end.
Yeah.
group.
they'll say
Yeah.
carry 5 backs and the fifth one to be Ingold. So, but
Mhm.
they have to have depth, and
Yeah.
because of injury.
Yeah,
And
no, I
Ahmed and
agree.
Gaskin have had injury. So, yeah, that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. All right, so let's talk about the elephants. Not the elephant in the room, but the elephants in the room. Let's talk about the quarterback room. And
boy.
I'm just gonna have to. I'm just gonna,
Oh, you
I'm not gonna
Dolphins
hold
here.
anything back. I'm not gonna hold anything back here on this. We're gonna start with Tua Tagovailoa. Tua Tagovailoa is really scaring me at this point in time. Look, I don't know what he's gonna do in the next week or 2 weeks. I'm talking about right now. Right now on August 15th. Okay. He's had one good practice, one very good practice, and that was without pads. And that was just this last practice they had on Sunday. Other than that, he hasn't been bad. He hasn't been terrible. He's just been average.
Mhm.
He's just been average. He's doing the same thing he's done last year, and I'm afraid it's going to carry over into games again. He's holding on to the ball. He's indecisive in his decision making. And I understand that playing against the Fangio defense. Yeah, I see it.
My daughter wrote that, so it's
I
just
got
fitting.
you.
Sorry.
I got you. But he's still holding on to the ball. He's still indecisive in his decision making, forcing the ball downfield. You know, I just don't know what I can see where he's improving, or he's trying to improve on reading, going through his progressions. And that's good that he's making those mistakes, because hopefully he'll learn from those mistakes. But to me, he just doesn't seem like he's a fast processor. And that's going to be a detriment to this offense if he can't go through playing against teams like we're going to play against a lot of defenses that have not a Fangio defense, but a similar defense and a lot better off defensive tackles and defensive ends that are going to be going out there to kill him. And if he's already, going back, holding the ball and pumping the ball, I got you. He's going through his progressions, but he's been sacked a lot of times in practice, and that's scaring me. It's just really scaring me. And for being our gold mine and the Miami Dolphins and Chris Grier, number one, they gave him a 5th-year option. They didn't give him an extension, which I was happy about. I thought that was a good decision. But they didn't give him an O-line. And he's our gold mine. And we know his injury history. All right, that's enough on Tua. Let's go to the back. Let's go to the backups. Skylar Thompson, this year, again, he's having the same problem. He's having the same problem as Tua is. He's making indecisive decisions. He may not hold on to the ball as much as Tua, but he still holds on to the ball quite often. And I understand he's trying to go through his progressions and going through this Fangio's defense, which is it's I know they say they're experimenting. Well, the defense is experimenting too. So anyway, I'm not happy with Skylar Thompson's progress this year. Mike White has been the better quarterback in camp as far as the backups are concerned. He's been a lot better, although in the preseason game you wouldn't think that he looked like that in the practices, but he been the better.
Moved the ball well on 3
Yeah,
drives.
he did move the ball well. He just made some bad decisions. He made some bad decisions, but
he couldn't.
But you're right, Rob. You're right. He did.
The interception he threw. He should have just chucked that into the stands because he had done so well moving. He just felt like he wanted to hit it while he was scrambling out.
Yeah.
And he tried to fit it in the super tight window and it ended up getting batted up. So,
but I mean, I knew I was going to get some pushback from you on Mike White. He's your guy. I got you.
No, he's not my guy at all. Believe me. He's a Timber
as far
where I'm from.
That's what I mean.
I don't.
But
I don't mind him and Skylar aren't afraid to sling it. I like that, but pick your shots.
Yeah,
I mean, interceptions are going to happen, but pick your shots.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
But
so go ahead, Rob. We'll go. You finish out, and then we'll go. Bret.
Perception, like if the Dolphins unit, most of the backups right now, but that first unit that played that night, they had closed that drive of a touchdown to open the game. The whole, taint that we're all giving that game, and it's so dismal. It would have been different, But that's football. One play can make the big difference, and that's what it was. And I'm not as worried about Tua yet. Come when we, I almost said San Diego. When we come to play the Chargers, Los Angeles, then that's when I start. If he doesn't go out there, this is my year because, like I always rock. I've been a Dolphin fan since like the David Woodley area. I missed the Super Bowl glory days like you did. Ooh. I came in with the Woodstock area, and they were my quarterbacks, and that's how I roll with Tua. So he's my quarterback. But this is the prove it year, and I think it is for everyone. There's no excuse. Injury is not an excuse because that's part of the equation at this point. So to me, if he goes out there, does well, then yes, then you got him at least. We got him for 2 more years. If he doesn't, then you're going to be looking on to the future. But to me, it's Tua's prove it year. So I'm not as down on him as you are, Steve.
Really
I am. I'm not down on him. I'm just very concerned, and it's scaring me.
I get
Okay.
it.
But this
Should
And
be.
this
Yeah.
is another thing, and the people don't realize when he had that. I don't know if you saw the interview, and I know you have a different perspective on it, Rob, but I don't. I saw the fear in Tua's eyes. He had an interview, and one of the reporters was asking him, did he change his diet and about jujitsu and all that, and he went on about, yeah, jujitsu. I was taking jujitsu, and I did change my diet a little bit, and I did everything I can, for myself to get myself healthy, whatever. I'm just hoping I don't have any injuries.
Agreed.
What does he know
Definitely
that we
agreed.
don't know? What does he know that we don't know?
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, let's get your tape, Rob. Not Rob.
Yeah.
Brett, on the quarterback situation.
You sure?
Yeah, you know what Brett's going to say. Brett's more like Brett's more like you, Steven. You know it. You're just, it is what it is. Go ahead,
right.
Brett.
Well, I want to point out Scotty's comment here. Well, yeah, we know what all 22 is. I'm not sure. I can't speak for Steve how much tape he's watched and all, but I've watched plenty of all 22 of Tua, and the problems that I'm seeing in camp. I'm just going by the videos I'm seeing. I'm not there. The ball placement is still a question. He's still holding the ball. Now, I know we started this show talking about offensive line, being worried about protection and all, but a lot of Tua's injuries last year were from holding the ball. The
Correct.
head injuries were him holding
that
the
bingo
ball.
game was all
Yeah.
on him.
The Buffalo Bills one, that's just football. It's not bad offensive line play. Someone's going to get through. He got rid of the ball. He did his job, and he got hit. He didn't really protect himself because after he got rid of the ball, he's kind of didn't try to protect himself. That does happen. We've seen guys like Troy Aikman, that's happened to them before. So it is what it is. But against Green Bay, he didn't protect himself and he held onto the ball. Against the Bengals, he ran back to danger. Get rid of the ball, throw it away. I'd rather be frustrated that we settle for a field goal attempt. You threw it away from holding the ball, then you run back and get yourself injured. And now the game trajectory completely changes. Right. We don't know what's going to happen. So with that said, Tua is he improving? I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. It feels like a lot of the same stuff. We haven't seen him in game situation yet, but it feels like from what I'm seeing, ball placement is inconsistent. When he needs to lead the receiver, he throws it behind. When he needs
Can I interject? Can I interject a minute? All right. I know everybody's been talking about, Tua was the most accurate passer in all of football and all this kind of stuff, right?
That's misleading.
All right. Very misleading. Tua's accuracy, right? He was 20th in completion percentage last year, and he was 27th in his accuracy rating according to PFF as it relates to ball placement.
Yep.
Overall. 27th. So that's a bunch of bull crap if people are saying he's the most accurate quarterback in football. He was 27th. And let me throw something else in there, okay, that a lot of folks are saying. Oh, he was up for the most valuable player and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, for about a week. But you know where he finished in the most valuable player voting? Last.
Yeah. Well, so
don't give me that crap.
So
I'm sorry.
Completion percentage really took a dive in. I just talked about this, starting with the San Francisco game to the Chargers game down, right? What defense did they play? Zone coverage. I don't know what it is about zone coverage that gives Tua fits. He will pick your man defense apart all day long. But when it comes to zone coverage, he struggles. Now, PFF is grading there is where the ball likely should be.
Yes.
Based on the route that the receiver is running versus the coverage. There's stack coverage where you want to throw it back shoulder. His rookie year against the Rams, you had stack coverage. He tried to lead the receiver, almost intercepted. Luckily, it wasn't. And, that happened 3 times. Well, that's his rookie year. Okay, well, in the NFL, you need to, throw the ball where it needs to be. He still hasn't gotten that down. Now, early part of the year, he did really well. Tape comes out, they adjust. However, the 49ers, the Chargers, the Packers, they all ran defenses that did the same thing to him his rookie year. That's my concern. Now, will he get better? We don't know. We have to see. But right now, I'm not confident he will. Mike White, he's the backup for a reason. He's got an arm. He's not afraid to sling it. He plays with more energy than the last two guys. Teddy Bridgewater, just don't know what was happening to him last year. He's much better than he was in Miami. But with Skyler, you're right. He's not progressing. I don't know what it is. He's a smart guy. He's a very confident guy. He's athletic. He knows how to get rid of the ball. And I don't like PFF either. Notice I didn't use those. I just talked about what they graded off of, and mine's based off of all 22. But when you watch Skyler, it's like 1 minute, like, man, what hell of a play, kid. Then you're like, what the hell is going on? He's just a flash in the pan guy right now. So until he levels out, and his age is a factor here, he might not get a chance to really start in his career. So it's it's going to be he's an uphill battle for him. But Mike White, he was in this system with the Jets last year. He had moments against the Falcons. He had moments where he looked good.
Yeah.
First couple of his few drives on there, like, not bad. Then you had like, man, what are you doing? Forced an interception, turning the ball over. It's like those kind of kill. Like, I don't care how pretty your drive is. If you're throwing interceptions in a red zone, you're going to lose football games. So that kind of
that's disappointing, because he was doing really well in Mike White. I'm speaking of, he was doing really well in the red zone and throwing some darts, and actually Skylar Thompson and Mike White have the strongest arms, which doesn't mean anything, but well, it does to a degree, but they got the strongest arms in camp. But I'm really disappointed with Skylar Thompson, because I thought he had more of an upside than he's showing right now. Hopefully that'll change. I mean, we're talking about right now. We're not talking about in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or even after, this last preseason game.
Tyler Van Dyke hype train. Hopefully he has a better year, because he struggled last year.
Yeah, he did. There was a lot of hype on him, and he really struggled last year.
He's a very talented kid, though, very intelligent. But we'll see if he recovers.
Yeah, we will.
If he doesn't, well,
yeah. Well, Steve,
right,
we're at 8:24, Steve. Just, I don't know if they have another show following us up.
Well, what I was going to do is I'm gonna make this a part. We'll do the defense as a part 2 of dissecting the Dolphins training camp and experiments. We'll do this as a part 2. But I am a little concerned, just to give you a overview what we might be talking about next Tuesday. Is we'll see what happens after the Houston game in the camp as well. But I'm a little concerning with Christian Wilkins. He hasn't played. Well, I understand why he didn't play in the preseason game, but the 2 practices, I believe, prior to the game, to the Falcons game, he did not play, did not participate. Now, I don't know if that's an undercover nursery and injury that he's nursing.
could be.
No.
Not that I know of. He might have.
No, nothing I know either. But I know some people theorize, because he's like a little bit of a troublemaker, and they didn't want him out there against the Falcons, causing havoc and whatever too. So,
I mean, he's a starter. He wasn't going to play. The only starter defensive line to play was Ogball. But I'll throw something out real quick. The middle of the defense, I've called it out as a little bit of troubling. People are too high on Sealer and Wilkins. I love Wilkins. I think he's a fantastic run blocker, one of the best in the league, or run defender, excuse me. But and I think he can be a good pass rusher in his defense. But the depth on the defensive line is an issue. The push that the run game gets is an issue. Linebackers an issue, but it's not terrible at all. But this defense will give up the run a little bit, and that's by design. It's to force teams to throw against them. There's a good thread on that about the Fangio defense and what you get out of it. So I have to find that and share with you guys so you can share that on your show and talk about it.
Hey, sounds good. Well, Steve had Scotty's with the extend Wilkins. So,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. No, I do. Because I know he has more than just the measurables too, because he's like a leader.
Mm-hmm.
He has that energy he brings out there. So it's like some stuff, I know he's never going to get the big sack numbers like some guy, but he's going to get he's great against the run, solid player, a leader.
I said that about the sack numbers, but his pressure percentage actually isn't that bad.
He has good pressure. He just doesn't maybe get, but that's enough that helps the other guys too, though.
It was his usage. That was a big thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, Steve is out. It's almost time because I'm pretty sure Bobby and them. I think tonight's a triple hitter or at least a double hitter on his network. So
I think
I don't
so.
know. Yeah. So Brett, thank you. How it
Thanks for having me
like
on.
Steve. Yeah. Thank you for coming out, and that's going to be it, guys. Fins up of Ender on the last minute. Hey, Ender. Fins up, Brett, and we're out of here, man. Let's go, guys.
Cheers.